Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I came across this statement and I found it so interesting that I had to share it here on the show today. This quotation, volunteers are the richest people in the world. What do you guys think? Let's have this discussion together here. You're watching Politically Correct and I am, of course, Maya Hayakawa. Let the show begin. Now, he's a man that wears many hats, a husband, a father of 4 children, the head of internship department in Daystar University. He's also an entrepreneur, a life coach, a business consultant, and an accountant and financial management consultant. Woo! That's quite a CV there that we have. And I am, of course, talking about the lovely Dr. Okeyo, who is here in studio with me. Also here today, I have Calvin Jodisi, who's the founder and CEO of Change Mind, Change Future, a mentorship organization that also facilitates women empowerment programs. And Calvin is passionate about volunteerism and is the ambassador of One Young World, a UK-based organization that offers leadership training to young people across the world. They're joining me here to discuss all matters involving volunteering and entrepreneurship. So now it makes sense why I gave you that quotation at the beginning of the show. So welcome, gentlemen, to the show. Thank you so much for joining me today here at Politically Correct.
Thank you so much, Maya.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Maya.
I do know, like, for clarification, people might be wondering, Dr. Okeyo, you are currently doing your PhD right now. We are actually colleagues in that sense. But isn't it true that as soon as you're studying your PhD, everyone just wants to refer you to as doctor?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Embracing the name, how's that going?
It sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
So a lot of people always ask this question. They ask that, okay, so you're doing your PhD. Are you doing it just so that you can get that title, doctor so-and-so? You know, sometimes it's just an ego thing, or sometimes it's, a different reason for you. What was the reason?
The reason is that in whatever chosen path, if you want to impact properly, then you have to get the facts right. And one thing a PhD does is to help you sit down on a field that you become an expert on. And that's why you're called Doctor of Philosophy in that area, PhD. Some people call it permanent head damage, but it's because you're so much advanced in that area. Then you're able to impact better and bring solutions that people need. I
know this is totally off tangent because we're supposed to be talking about entrepreneurship and volunteerism. But before we start talking about the topic, the other question that I want to ask you is, permanent head damage. Isn't it true that we actually, as students, get used to being stressed 24/7, that when you actually have no stress at all, it feels weird. It actually feels like, oh my goodness, why am I so relaxed? There must be something wrong. Do you experience that?
You can, if you are not doing that for which you're called to do. And actually, if academic is your passion, then for you, it's just a normal thing.
Exactly.
And if it's not, then you get stressed. And that can bring out the idea to start evaluating yourself. Are you doing the right thing for which you're wired? Everybody's wired for something. And the earlier you discover that, the better you are.
It's true, because people always say to me, they say, why did you study so many years? And I said, I actually like school. I actually like education. I actually like it. And I have a theory. And the theory for me is that anybody who goes past undergrad and goes into masters actually secretly likes being stressed. I think so. As much as we say, like, oh my God, I'm so stressed and all that. But then I think we secretly like that. We actually like to feel stressed. Anyway, besides the point, let's get down to the real topic of discussion today, which is all about entrepreneurship and volunteerism. So I started off the show with this quote that I came across, which I found really interesting, saying, volunteers are the richest people in the world. And I want to know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, personally, I think they are because, the reason why volunteers are the richest people in the world is because they're actually passionate about not only making money, but actually giving back to their society. So they always work extra hard to be able to maybe get additional money that they actually can be able to invest in the society. So I think that also drive their richness because, despite you can gain a lot of wealth and all that, but if you're not able to share with the wider network and support different projects, you actually don't really see the value because the most important thing is when you put a smile on somebody's face, that's when you feel like, wow, this is great, you know. And I'm doing, I mean, what I'm doing, my purpose actually is almost aligned to what I'm doing. But if you just say, you know, I want to make money, become a billionaire, and nobody can feel, you know, that I mean, that percentage, you won't really feel anything. Yeah, so that's why I think they're the richest people in the world.
What about for you, Dr. Okeyo? You better get used to me calling you Dr. Okeyo. It's fine.
What I can say,
feel free to call me Dr. Maya Hayakawa.
what I can say about that, if it reaches a point in which you can give back something, that means you have excess, isn't it? So it's not about money. You can volunteer your talent, you can volunteer your time, you can volunteer your skill, whatever is so valuable to you, and you can only give if you have. So we take them as rich in that sense. And research has consistently shown that reaches a point in life when you've made it so much, there's something new that is awakened, that you now want to give it back. And actually it cuts across all human race. So maybe that's how we are made, that at a point when you've had so much, or you feel life has favored you so much, you feel that it's time to lift up a fellow human being.
People, yes.
And that's why you see those who have made money, actually they give because they have made it. So after they have made it, they are able to give it. So when they are making it, you may think they are mean, but after they made it, something is awakened in them. And then
actually,
they say,
I think they after they made it, actually, they also see the answers of like maybe getting their time to travel around the world and supporting different causes and, I mean, reaching different places, you know.
And nowadays I'm seeing that a lot of websites are coming in that are specifically for you to donate and for you to actually find organizations that you'd like to volunteer in, you'd like to donate in. But, you know, for me, you know, I'll tell you guys what I think about this statement that says, you know, the richest people are those that are volunteers. And I think to myself, we come across these quotes all the time that say, you know, money cannot buy love, you know, the heart is the most valuable thing and all of that kind of things and stuff like that. But then the thing is, I remember one time a friend of mine said to me, well, Maya, love cannot put food on the table.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Love cannot.
So, you know, I think it's that fine line where it depends on what you define richness as, right? And I think as a society, we're moving towards this being rich means that you live in a big house, that you have a big car. And so it really depends on the culture, I think, in terms of what you define as valuable and what you define as richness. Is it the tangible things or the non-tangible things? But that's besides the point. Now, I went to your university, Daystar University, and I had a chat with some of the students.
Oh, fantastic.
I just wanted to get a view of what they think about volunteerism before we had this discussion. So would you guys like to have a look?
Yeah, fantastic.
All right, guys, well, let's take a look at what the students of Daystar University had to say. Hi everyone, you know what it is question for today, and I thought instead of doing it in the studio, I thought that I should come to the university itself. So right now I am here at Daystar University and I want to get an idea of what the students think about volunteering and entrepreneurship. So let's check it out, see what people have to say. Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Why don't you start off by telling me your name, what you're studying, and what year you're in?
Lorraine Maluba. I'm majoring in communication and I'm in second year.
All right, so I have a question for you. Would you go for an unpaid internship for experience?
Yeah, I would.
Why?
Because if you look at the current job market, most employers ask for experience. You know, and I wouldn't mind because I'd go for that free, so that I have experience, so that when I'm looking for a job, I can tell them I work somewhere, and have this experience for a certain period of time, and it will benefit me more than somebody who refused to go for that free. Yeah. And
have you ever volunteered for an organization before, or are you currently volunteering right now?
Yeah, I work with Everlast Dance Crew. We go to children's homes, we do charity work. I was part of Jaguar's bid initiative for a while, but I'm not really active right now because of school. But when he called on me, I wouldn't mind joining.
And what do you like about volunteering?
It's a part of me that I feel like I'm giving back to the community. I feel like sharing. I feel like I'm impacting on somebody's life, and putting a smile on somebody's face is something that's immeasurable. It's priceless.
Well, hello, pretty lady.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Rose Tuku.
Okay, what are you studying and what year are you
I'm
in?
doing public relations in Daystar University. I'm a fourth-year student here.
How old are you?
I'm 21 years old.
All right. So, a question that I have for you: would you ever take an unpaid job for you to gain experience?
Exactly, yeah. That's what exactly I would like to do for my first experience. Yeah, because volunteers and voluntary jobs are, I guess that one is able to learn more, because your target is not about the payment or something. So I would take a volunteer job.
Have you ever volunteered before?
Yeah, I volunteered before, but it's quite some while back in high school. Yeah.
What did you volunteer for?
It was a Red Cross organization, so we volunteered to clean the community and visit some children's homes.
And how was that experience like? What did
It
you
was
learn?
a nice experience. I learned that helping and giving back to the society is one of the most important things in this life, and you're able to mingle and meet new people through these experiences.
All right. Yeah. And the final question I have is volunteering and entrepreneurship. Do you think those two can go hand in hand?
Yeah, volunteering and entrepreneurship can go hand in hand, because
It's not quite clear, is it?
yeah, it's not quite clear, but I think like in an 80-20%, yeah, they can do good together.
And right over here I have...
Jeremy Anamushe.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
And what are you studying?
I study electronic media.
All right. Well, very interesting. And I want to know, would you ever go for an unpaid internship in a company?
I think you'd have to, because in the world we live in today, what's really important is to get experience. And if you could get experience for 3 months rather than sit at home and not get paid, I mean, you don't benefit from anything. So I think the experience that you would get in 3 months would definitely put you higher than someone else.
All right. And also the other question that I have for you, what do you think about universities that make community service a requirement for you to graduate from your program?
I mean, I have two thoughts about that. You know, one, it's a good thing to make people do community service. I don't think you should make it compulsory as such. I think you should give people the choice to actually do it themselves. Because it's the same way here, like how we have, which I'm not saying is a bad thing or anything. I'm just stating that you have to sign to go to church. I think that pushes people away from the religion of Christianity. Because you don't see people going to church on Sunday signing pieces of paper saying they did attend. It's God that knows you at the end of the day. So even with community service or whatever it is, I think you should give an individual the choice at hand.
All right. And the other question, are you interested in doing international volunteering programs? Would you enroll for that?
Yeah, I probably would. I mean, I always say, listen, if you're going to go abroad, if you're going to do anything international, it gives you a lot of exposure. It shows you how different places of the world run their things, what they do, how they do them. You could also get great ideas that could probably work here in Kenya. So I'm always encouraging anyone that's willing to do anything from an international perspective.
Final question, what do you think the government and universities should do to encourage our students to volunteer more often?
I think they should perhaps make any volunteering exercise or whatever it is that they're offering students more appealing to them. You know, that we live in a day and age where we're not really interested with content. We'd rather see pictures than content. We'd rather do practical than theory. So if you can adjust some of these community activities to kind of appear or appeal more to the current student of today, it will be much easier. So less content, more pictures, less theory, more practicality. And I promise you'll see great results.
All right, thank you so much.
Cheers.
All right then, so that was a little clip of some of the views that we had from the students of Daystar University. Very, very interesting answers, comments, and opinions that we got from the students, don't you think, gentlemen? Let's discuss a little bit about what the students brought out. Now, one thing that I noticed was that volunteerism is actually seen as a very negative thing. They perceive it very negatively. When I asked the students what they felt about community service and whether it should be a required compulsory course in their area of study, some said they don't see the point in it, and they say that, you know, what's the point in it if we are being forced to volunteer? Then it beats the purpose, because then it doesn't become your will, but it's more of like, I'm doing this so that I can get my degree. So then the question that I have is that for you, Calvin, is, do you think as Kenyans we just don't have this spirit of volunteerism, and where we just think of me, myself, and I? And do you think that making volunteerism a part of a university, you know, course is actually instilling, you know, the spirit of volunteerism?
I think that's very true, because if you look at some universities, I don't know how Daystar is, but I think University of Nairobi and even KU, because I know KU a lot because we've worked with them in a few things. But one of the requirements they actually put more focus on their students is that they should try their best to actually do a community service as part of their project. And for me, I think that is something that all the universities need to embrace, that the students, I mean, whichever field you come from, at least you need to have done a community service. And why is it important? Why is it important for an engineer student to maybe go outside there and do some community service, maybe pretty much aligned to the engineering work? They might decide that, okay, we're going to build a bridge in one of the communities that doesn't have a bridge. And so that all things, number one, it gives you this kind of the mindset of kind of understanding the different community, understanding different people, understanding different background, and it actually also helps you look at life in a different way. So now when you go to employment, you'll be more like somebody who's very flexible, and you can be able to handle issue easily, and kind of a thinker as well, because you'll be like, I think last time when we went to build this bridge, I think this was the challenge that we experienced. And so as an engineer, I think this is, if we have this input, actually going to improve very much. So that's what, basically that's what I think. I think it's very, very important that it needs to be included. And again, if you look at the developed countries, like the US, I think you've heard of the Mercy Corps, and you've heard of all this. They have several youth volunteer programs, and not even the volunteer program themselves, but even the US Army itself. They require at least that you should join the Army, even if it's for 2 years, for you to be able to serve. And what is that, or what all that actually amount to something? They actually prepare you for a bigger thing. They prepare you, like, if I go to get employed, what kind of input will I add? And all these things actually comes from from your volunteer experience. You're able to gather all these, and it helps you actually become a very good in what you're doing, or what your employer wants you to do.
Thank you for that, Calvin. And for you, Dr. Okeyo, the question that I have, you being the head of internship at Daystar University, do you think that it really is instilling the spirit of volunteerism? And how can we more, you know, instill the spirit of volunteerism? Because clearly, it's not enough to make it compulsory. If, you know, we see this trend, right? You volunteer for your 3 months while you're trying to get your certificate. When you're done and you get your certificate, very few students, you know, will actually go back to volunteer. So the question that I have is, what more can we do to instill this, you know, spirit for volunteerism? And should it really be compulsory if people are not really willing?
Well, at Daystar we call it practicum, and they go there and they look for a place in which they can experience what they've learned in class. And most of them actually, they do say, we are not going to be paid, I feel so sad about this and all that. And we tell them, every employer wants experience. How will you get experience if you don't get a chance to work free and learn? And also at Daystar we have what we call servant leadership. Actually, is one of our core identifying features. And actually, when you do graduate at Daystar, you get a towel. I think we are the only university that gives a towel. And that is modeled through servant leadership of Christ, that he washed the feet of the apostles. So such towel means so much to a student when he leaves school, that as much as I'm out there to make money, a part of me should be able to offer myself. And we see it working, because most of our students, they are big in NGO, in government, and even when we go to see them through internship, the employers say that they are employable. That means they are out, they go out of themselves, they're able to help, they're always on time, and they are not doing this because the job description reaches here. They go beyond. So I see that in them, but I would also say that I would encourage a student to volunteer. One is because this thing called experience that every employer wants, nobody will give you a chance to serve unless you offer to serve it for free. So economically, it works for a student. And also, it also trains you that there are much bigger things in the world than just earning money and making a living. Actually, if you look at the hierarchy of needs, which was like Maslow needs,
yes.
the most basic needs, they are called basic because they are not very superior. So it reaches a point then you want to serve. And actually, it does so much good to the soul when you uplift somebody or when you offer service. It does so much to yourself. So I would encourage students to go out there and actually volunteer, because even the best way to get a job nowadays is to say, I'm here to do it for free. And there are lessons you'll only learn when you're inside. And actually 50% of those lessons are not written. So you learn how to deal with the people, how to relate, how to deal with your superiors, a skill that will enhance your survival in your proper job and can make you move faster than somebody who just wanted a job day one and say, I'm in for money.
Yeah, I mean that's true, because actually I was listening to, what is talked about, willing to work for free.
Yeah.
So Les Brown is one of my favorite motivational speakers. So I was listening to Les Brown. Les Brown was talking about how actually he got his first job as a disc joker. And so he was back in Florida. And he went to this radio station, and the first time he went to say, hey guys, I'm here, I'm looking for a job. And the guy said, there's no job. And then the following day he came again and said, I'm looking for at least, I just want to work for you guys for free. And they said, no, we don't have any space for you here, unfortunately. And then the third time he came and said, sir, I've just come to see if maybe either maybe somebody died yesterday or somebody got fired or something like that, so that I can be able to get a job. And then finally, because of his persistence, actually was able to get a job there. And he didn't get a job, obviously, as a disc joker. He just got a job of cleaning. And he cleaned, and as time goes by, he learned a lot of things. And from learning all that thing, he was able to go up to now a very known disc joker. So I think what you've said is true. It's very important that people embrace just starting small and, sometimes working for free, even if they're just giving you bus fare. And then from there, you'll be able to grow. Yeah.
Okay, can I just really comment really quickly on this? Yeah. And for us guys, when we were in USIU, we had community service as well. But the requirement for community service actually is that we actually had boundaries where we said, it's completely different to an internship, where internship is more applying of the skills in your working field and area that you're in. But in terms of community service, it had to be hands-on. It actually required you to be in an area or a place that you've never been to before, where you actually have to do things like wash dishes, or you have to do things like cook, or you have to do things like, clean and things like that, things that you would never actually want to do, and you have to show that it's actually something that you've never done before. And what I came to find out about that was that a lot of people who are in different status of society, especially for the high class, are not exposed to that. Somebody who grows up in Runda has never been to Kibera before. And so it's an eye-opener for them to realize that, oh, this is what it means when we say that 60% of our population lives below, under $1. And so they get that exposure, which they never would have gotten if they're just cooped inside their little, picket fence sort of, living area. And that's what really is important for me in terms of volunteerism, aside from, gaining the experience. But we need to take a quick break. When we come back, one of the questions that I asked the students were on volunteerism and entrepreneurship. And you actually have a lot of experience in terms of how we can merge the two. So I'm sure you can give some input into that. So make sure that you just keep it tuned here at TVC. More with Calvin and Dr. Okeyo on entrepreneurship and volunteerism when we come back.
Thank you.